It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. You're listening to us in your neighborhood, from coast to coast, and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joan Herman, author, speaker, and your host. For 4 years, we've been bringing you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me is high school basketball coach Jim Johnson, who made headlines when he gave an autistic student on his team the chance to make his dream come true. Jason McElwain, affectionately known as J-Mac, stunned the world when he entered a basketball game in the final minutes and proceeded to do nothing short of a miracle. With the help of his teammates, J-Mac scored 20 points, including 6 three-point baskets, in just over 4 minutes. Major news and sports outlets around the world picked up the story, the YouTube video went viral, and the world was fascinated with everything to do with J-Mac. This is the story of the relationship between a high school student and his basketball coach. This is the story about an event that the coach calls a modern-day miracle. It reinforces the value of applying passion, goal-setting, perseverance, and teamwork to any of life's endeavors. Jim is the author of the book, A Coach in a Miracle. Welcome, Jim. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Joan.
Jim, the story that I started to talk about J-Mac, I remember that story. I remember seeing it on the news and reading about it, and it really is an amazing story. So can you set the scene for us? What was happening in the game?
Well, what happened was Jason had been in our program for 3 years, and his dream was to play on the team. And he never made the team. He was our team manager. But his senior year, I told him that I was going to give him a gift for all his loyalty and dedication, and I was going to give him a uniform for senior night. And he was pretty excited about that. So that was kind of the scene, and it was our final home game of the year. And Jason, instead of being in his white shirt and black tie in his role as team manager, now was actually donning number 52, and it was senior night. Do you want me to take you through the game?
Well, yeah. I mean, what were you winning when you decided to put him in? Were you losing? What was going on in your mind?
Yeah, actually, what happened, we were winning, and it was one of those things where my goal for Jason was I wanted to get him in with enough time so he could score a basket. I thought that would be a memory he would cherish for the rest of his life. With just over 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, I decided the time was right, and that's when he entered the game. The first time we had the ball after Jason got in the game, he shot a three, and it was not even close. He shot an air ball, and it was something that was interesting because I think in some ways his autism actually enhanced him that night because he was so focused that it didn't seem to bother him that he missed his first shot so badly because he came back, and our second possession he missed another shot, but this time he hit the rim, and I'm thinking, okay, we're getting closer. And then the third shot he took in the game was another three-pointer, and he made that one, and the place just exploded. We have a town of about 100,000, and there was probably about 1,000 spectators there that night, but it sounded like 100,000. It was just pure bedlam, and I'm thinking to myself, God must be a basketball fan. Not only did Jason score a basket, he made a three-pointer. And then Jason's idol growing up was Kobe Bryant, and I tell you, for the next 3 minutes of the game, he turned to Kobe Bryant because he just started making shot after shot. And then the other thing that was amazing is how the game ended. It was like a storybook ending in the sense that, Jason had scored all these baskets, and I wasn't sure how many points. I was sitting on the bench. Of course, tears were rolling down my face. And the last possession, Spencerport, our opponent that night, and I do want to give kudos to them and their coach, Josh Harder. They were tremendous sports for that game. But Spencerport scored with about 10 seconds to go, and instead of our guy that takes it out of bounds, throwing it to our point guard, this time he threw it to J-Mac. And J-Mac dribbled down the court, and the clock's counting down 10, 9, and with about 3 seconds to go, Jason pulled up a couple feet behind the arc and launches this rainbow, and it swishes. And all of a sudden I see our entire student body run on the floor, and they embrace him, and then all our players ran on the floor. And then the other thing I'll never forget is Jason's parents have an interesting dynamic, because Dad is 6'6", and his mom is 5 foot tall, and I see this little bitty lady bobbing and weaving through the massive hysteria, and she gets to J-Mac and she embraces him, and then our players put Jason up on their shoulders, and he's walking around with the game ball. And at this point, I had no idea how many points he scored. And our public address announcer comes on and said, the leading scorer for the Trojans, J-Mac, with 20 points. And I'm going, oh my gosh, if he played the whole game, he would have scored 160 points. So it was just a night I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Jim, what do you think happened that night? Did you ever see that kind of athletic ability in him?
You know what? I'd seen him play a lot of times, and no, I mean, that was, to me, I mean, my book is called The Coaching of Miracles, because I believe I lived a miracle. I mean, Jason, to his credit, I talk about 6 keys to making your dreams come true, and he followed those keys very well. And he was one of the first kids always to practice, one of the last ones to leave. He was always doing some extra. So, certainly I felt very good, because he invested a lot of time, but not in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought he would score 20 points.
Jim, I think what you just described, to me, that embodies what sports should be all about, that sportsmanship, giving someone an opportunity to really excel at something. And I think so often today, some coaches, I mean, I have 2 boys that played all kinds of sports, and I've had coaches on all ends of the spectrum. And I think we get so caught up in win at all costs that we forget to give some of our students or our younger athletes the chance to really shine. So what would you say to a coach out there to really encourage him or her to push a child in the right direction, to give that child an opportunity?
Well, I think first of all, you got to respect all people, children and adults, and we're all striving to try to find our way in this world, and we all need people to help us and look. So I think number one is, we should always be looking where we can provide opportunities for people to excel, and secondly is that we all have opportunities to mentor and and teach others and to give service to others. And so I think anytime you're trying to help others, you're always going to have a warm feeling in your heart.
How do you think that night, that moment changed his life?
Well, I think number one, it changed from a confidence standpoint, because he had his struggles like every kid, but with having autism and being learning disabled, and I just see how much he's grown with his confidence, the ability that he has, he does some public speaking now, he still does some interviews, he is out a lot now, he's coaching, helps the cross-country team in the fall, I think it's led him to continue to dream big. For example, he has now got into marathon running, and he's actually going to run his second Rochester Marathon, but his first marathon, I asked him what his goal was, and he thought about it. He said, "You know what, Coach, I want to qualify for the Boston Marathon." And he ended up making that. His qualifying time was 3 hours and 5 minutes for his age group, which is pretty fast. And he actually ran his first marathon in 3 hours and 1 minute and 50 seconds. So I think the great lesson that I've learned from Jason is that you just got to keep thinking big and then show that determination and stay with it, and good things are going to happen to you.
Jim, you mentioned making dreams come true, and I know that you have 6 keys that you talk about in helping people realize their dreams. What are these keys?
Hey, the 6 keys, first one is find your passion. And I think a key to making your dreams come true is you got to find what you love to do, and then find a way that it can be a big part of your life. The second one is discovering your mission, and that's something that I read Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, back many years ago, and he talked about in his habit 2 about he always said that businesses and school districts and all different types of organizations have mission statements, but he believed that every individual should have a mission statement. And it really got me thinking, and the question you ask yourself is, why were you put on this earth? And it really made me think, and after doing a lot of thinking, writing down different things and what I believed, and now I've really pretty pure on my mission statement, and is to be an outstanding role model that makes a positive difference in the world by helping others make their dreams come true. And what I discovered, and now I share with others through my speaking and my teaching and my coaching, is that when you understand your mission in life, you have a true guiding light, a direction, and that's going to help you make better choices and decisions. My third essential key is one that we all have heard of, but I don't think too many practice it very well, and that's being an effective goal setter. And the keys on goal setting, I think, number one is you need to write it down. And two tips that I talk to my players and my students, and when I speak to audiences, is that I think you should really focus on trying to write some goals down every single day. And then another thing I do is I put them on index cards and read them myself 3 or 4 times a day in front of a mirror. So really reinforce what's important for you. Zig Ziglar said you can't hit a target that you don't have. So writing those goals down. And then the other thing I share about goal setting is I think you got to set a really big goal. I call it a stretch goal, because when you set a stretch goal, it really makes you think, and you have to add some disciplines to your life to make a stretch goal. And when you do that, even if you don't make the goal, you become a better person because of the disciplines you add to your life. My fourth essential key is perseverance, and I know of no one personally or anybody I've ever read about or heard of that's had success that doesn't have this trait, and that's the ability to never give up, and just having that attitude of that never give up attitude and persevering through difficult times. We all do it. I talk about the book. The interesting part about that season was I had my most difficult part of my coaching career and the highlight of my coaching career in the same year, which is very unique. And perseverance was a key to that, and getting through some very tough times in the early of the season, which led to some really positive things at the end of the year. My fifth essential key is what I call carpe diem, and that's talking about seizing the day. And carpe diem, I talk about the ability to have to be great in the things you can control. And two that I focus in on is attitude. I'm a big quote guy, and one of the things I always tell my players at the beginning of the year, attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? And then the second thing is having a great work ethic. We can control our attitude, we can control our work ethic. And that was the one thing that Jason was a great illustration. Here was a young man that had never gotten a chance to play, yet he would come in every day with a positive attitude, a smile on his face, and a great work ethic. And then to wrap them all up, our sixth essential key is to be a team player. And I just think the ability to work with others and help others and serve others is such a hugely important thing in making your own dreams come true, is the ability to help others. So that gives you the 6.
Jim, what do you say to someone who can't get past the fear to take the first step? They don't believe enough in themselves to really push the fear aside and move forward.
I think the first thing is going back to the goal setting is you got to start writing some things down that you really want to accomplish. I think that's where it all starts. And then, the second thing would be developing a plan and taking action. When you take action, you're going to either find that you're successful or you're going to learn from it and move and try another opportunity. So, I think the ability to have a start by writing some goals down, and then secondly, the ability to stay with it. And that's why I go back to passion, too, is that, it's something you really enjoy, then you're going to stay with it, because it's, even though it may be frustrating at times, it's something you do enjoy. I know I've been coaching basketball for over 30 years, and I love the game. I love working with young people. I certainly have had my share of frustrations through my career, but I always go back to, boy, I'm very passionate about this.
You mentioned that J-Mac always maintained a positive attitude, that he kept showing up, he kept being there, being present, and waiting for his opportunity. What would you say to an athlete who might be finding it difficult to maintain that enthusiasm after sitting on the bench over and over again? And what would you say to coaches, teachers, or mentors to really inspire them to help those children stay motivated and keep coming back?
I think first from the person's perspective is that, usually when you're in some type of sport, you really enjoy the sport. So, really always seek the joy of playing the sport and being around a team. And I think that's a positive start. The second one is that, you got to determine a work ethic that you're going to, strive to get a little bit better each day and be ready for the opportunity. I think that's one of the things I'm so proud of J-Mac is that, he was ready for his opportunity because he had worked very hard and he had a positive attitude. From the other side, the coaches, your teachers, I think number one is, I think you should, as a coach and teacher, should always be looking for opportunities to help people be successful, to continue to encourage them, and be, I think one of the huge traits in being a great leader is to lead by example. One of my goals is I want to help students stay physically fit. Well, as a model, I really try to do that myself, so they have something to work off of on that.
And we're talking about sports with your example, but really that's anything in life, to set an example no matter what area you're in for our children and for other people.
Absolutely. I think example is the greatest teacher, when I get away from being a great example, I know that's something I have to go right back and focus. And my wife's a great person for me because if she sees that I slipped, she's a good there to remind me, what I'm all about and what my mission is. So, certainly having a support group in that case is very good as well.
The book is A Coach and a Miracle by Jim Johnson. If you'd like more information, you can visit his website, CoachJimJohnson.com. Jim, thank you for being here with us today. The message I hope people take away with is no matter what you're doing, whether you're a coach, a teacher, a coworker, a parent, a friend, no matter who you are, what your impact is on another person, you have to remember that we all have the power to touch another life in such a profound way. And I hope that people listen to you and that they take some of the message that you shared today and they bring it into their everyday life.
Well, thank you, Joan. It was a pleasure to interview. Anytime I can support you, feel free to reach out.
We'll be right back. Did you know that almost 1/3 of the youth in the United States are obese and that the majority of American adults are overweight and undernourished? As Americans, we are drawn to eating unhealthy food and then we wonder why we're overweight and overmedicated. Today's guest, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, says that by eating the right foods, we can lose weight and prevent disease. Dr. Fuhrman is the author of the books Eat to Live, Eat for Health, and Disease Proof Your Child. Welcome, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Joan. Great to be here.
Dr. Fuhrman, I read your book and I watched your PBS special, so I'm really excited that you're joining us to teach our listeners about your program and about all of the research that you've been able to conduct over the years.
I think that the success of Eat to Live and the PBS special, I think it shows that Americans have gotten so sick and so fed up with taking drugs and realizing it's not the answer. They've been led down a path of medical and health tragedies. And I think they're ready to wake up to the realization that they can take control of their health destiny and do something. And the bottom line is that we can win the war on cancer. We can not have heart attacks and strokes, and that nutritional science has advanced so far today, and it's just imperative that Americans know this information.
So what is this program, and how does it differ from any other, and I hate to use the word diet, that people are utilizing to try to lose weight and maintain a healthier lifestyle?
Well, it's two basic issues here. One is based on the micronutrient density of food, and micronutrients are those food elements that do not contain calories, like vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals. And we've discovered, for example, that every strawberry has 700 different phytochemicals in it. Every piece of broccoli, more than 1,000 different phytochemicals. The point is that food is very rich in micronutrients, and when we achieve sufficient levels of these micronutrients in our tissues, it doesn't just protect us against cancer, but also these micronutrients induce weight loss. When you eat green vegetables, when you eat mushrooms, when you eat onions, when you eat berries, when you eat seeds, when you eat these foods, they contain certain phytochemicals that prevent the fat cells from being fed. Let me say that one more time. To sustain fat on your body, the fat has to grow red blood vessels into them. The blood vessels, in other words, has to grow into the fat and deliver nutrients and energy to the fat cells to sustain it and to grow. And those vessels can't grow into the fat. They won't sustain fat, they won't maintain fat, they won't allow fat to grow when you have sufficient amount of these angiogenesis inhibitors from these high-nutrient foods I'm talking about. It's no longer just calories in, calories out, and exercise more. I mean, the quality of what you eat is important. We can't just cut back on the quantity. We have to eat more nutritional quality because that's going to make you desire less food. That's one aspect. And the second aspect is as we eat foods that are low in nutrients, and the American diet is now 62% of calories from processed foods, and that's things like pasta and bread and salad oil and mayonnaise and donuts and cookies and rice cakes and breakfast bars and chips and soft drinks and candy, that as we eat foods that don't contain nutrients, the body builds up toxins, it builds up free radicals, it builds up AGEs, they're of course called advanced glycation end products, which accelerates the complications of diabetes and ages us and causes, and sets the stage for cancer. We build up toxic waste products in our system, and these toxic waste products cause us to gain weight. They cause us to eat more food. We try to stop eating even for a couple of hours. We start to withdraw from those toxins as if we're shooting up with heroin or cocaine. We get shaky, we get weak, we get fatigued, we get headachy, we get stomach cramping. In other words, we feel ill the minute our digestive tract stops digesting food. It's almost as if the minute your level of caffeine dips, the middle level of heroin dips, or the level of your nicotine dips, you're driven to take more nicotine, to have another cigarette, to have another shot of heroin. Well, the same thing is with this processed food. The minute we try to stop eating it for a few hours, we get intense cravings and feel ill and discomfort if we don't put something in our mouth, get the digestive tract started again. So the second aspect is critically important to have people understand that food could be powerfully addicting, explains why people fail diets in the past, why they've given up, why they've thrown in the towel, why they've checked out, and why diets don't work for them. And when they have a comprehensive understanding of all these factors of why the drugs don't work, why they're potentially dangerous even to take the medications that you think are your saviors for blood pressure and diabetes and cholesterol. Now, how food is more effective than drugs, how the food you've been eating created the overeating problem to begin with, and lastly, the fact that taste can be changed and learned, and that healthy foods can be made to taste great, and that you can have your health and eat it. You can have the best of both worlds. You can have great taste, more pleasure with eating, and control your health destiny. Not be overweight, not be sickly, not have high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, and like all other Americans eventually get. Fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, and seeds should be the major load of what people eat. Should be the major portion of their diet. Right now, the American diet is less than 5% of calories from produce, from unrefined fruits and vegetables. The 95% that it's the food they're eating is processed, refined and processed foods, animal products, and white potato products like French fries and mashed potatoes. And that consumes 95% of the American diet. And we couldn't design a better cancer-causing diet, heart attack-causing diet, than we designed it we wanted it to kill people.
Dr. Furman, someone's listening to you right now, and they're excited about what you're saying, and obviously they need to go out and get the book Eat to Live, which gives all the information in detail. But what should their diet look like tomorrow? Breakfast, lunch, dinner. What types of foods do they need to incorporate to get started right now?
There's a few simple things I want them to do. Number one, I want them to eat a big salad every day and chew it very well. And I want them to use a healthy dressing on the salad that we make, like maybe mix. We'll give you an example. One might be blending oranges with raw cashews and toasted sesame seeds and some blood orange vinegar and lemon, make an incredibly delicious but healthy dressing. And almonds and fig vinegar or balsamic vinegar. In other words, we're actually using the nuts and seeds in the salad dressings, because it facilitates the absorption of the phytochemicals, and it has protections against your heart. Put raw onions on the salad, or cabbage, or a little kale. That's even better. And the second thing is, once a week, I want people to make a giant pot of vegetable bean soup. And I want them to keep that soup in the refrigerator and take it to work with them for lunch, and have a bowl of vegetable bean soup every day, and make it with onions and lots of mushrooms and maybe a carrot juice base, and put in broccoli rabe and leeks and zucchini and spices and all kinds of flavorings. In other words, I think if people did those few simple things, eat a lot of, eat some berries and fruits for breakfast, have a salad once a day, have a soup once a day, have a big serving of steamed green vegetables every day, and remember what you said, the GOMS, the GOMBS, my anachronism for GOMBS, the most powerful anti-cancer foods: greens, onions, mushrooms, beans, berries, and seeds. Imagine if the whole United States started eating a big salad, a bowl of soup, and some GOMS every day. They would, get those foods into them every day. We would immediately see, cancer rates drop by 60 to 80%.
The book is Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Furman. We'll be right back.
Have you heard of Meatless Mondays? Have you ever considered limiting your intake of animal proteins? It might actually be a good idea. Hi, I'm Carrie Kelly, registered dietitian at the Active Center for Health and Wellness in Hackensack, New Jersey. In 2003, a movement known as Meatless Monday grew out of Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. During both World Wars, Presidents Wilson, Truman, and Roosevelt galvanized the nation with voluntary meatless days. This modern-day focus on Meatless Mondays is an effort to improve the overall health and well-being of Americans. Multiple studies studies have shown that going meatless, even just once a week, can help reduce your risk of developing chronic preventable conditions like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. In addition, it also helps to reduce your carbon footprint and save precious resources like fresh water and fossil fuel. People who follow occasional vegetarian diets have significantly lower body weights and body mass indices. Reducing overall meat consumption also aids in preventing long-term weight gain. Going meatless once a week is easier than you might think. Meatless meals can include protein-rich legumes such as lentils and chickpeas, and also grains like quinoa. A typical Mexican-style meal, including black beans, rice, avocado, and low-fat cheese, is a great example of a simple vegetarian option. There are also many soy protein-based meat alternatives commonly found in grocery stores today. Get creative, expand your horizons, and try some new vegetarian foods. Your waistline will thank you. For more information, visit us on the web at theactivecenter.com.
We all want to live a happy, productive life, but sometimes we need a little help. Our Coach on Call experts provide strategies to help you cultivate effective life skills. Joining me today is Richard Ryerson, a John Maxwell certified professional leadership trainer, coach, speaker, and host of the Dose of Leadership podcast. Welcome, Richard. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure to be here.
Richard, people think that being a leader, you need to be larger than life, that you have to be very charismatic. Is being charismatic essential to being a good leader?
Great question. We often gravitate to those high-profile leaders. I know I certainly have in the past, the people with the big egos and the larger-than-life personalities. But personally, I'm less concerned about ego and big personalities being the benchmark of the definition of great leadership. I'm a believer that all of us should think and act like leaders, no matter what our position or title is, and that we all have the potential to be great in some sort of leadership capacity. And I also think that people don't think themselves or look at themselves as leaders because they don't feel like they have that personality or charisma to be a leader. I've seen many aspiring leaders spend a great deal of energy and effort on looking or acting the part of a leader. All of their leadership development is centered on developing this charisma. And however, I think there should be something different. I think one should spend most of their time learning how to be calm, confident, consistent, and courageous. And notice I left charisma out of there.
So you're saying we shouldn't work on acting the part of a leader?
That's right. I think too often we feel we have this perception of what a leader's supposed to be like. And to me, charisma, this natural, we've seen in the John Wayne style type charisma, is a little more of a God-given talent. And I think it's great if you have it. But I think you will get more return on your personal growth investment if you learn how to become calm, how to be confident, how to be consistent, and most importantly, how to be courageous. Those are things that you can control. And if you focus on those, what I call those 4 C's, then a natural charisma will come forth, one that people will gravitate towards. And so that's the difference. Don't focus on the acting part. Focus on these real things that you can control.
If you'd like more information about Richard, you can visit his websites, richardryerson.com or adoseofleadership.com. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that this information is for educational purposes only and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, you can visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, take part in the book club, sign up for the mailing list, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.